Good morning, everyone. Yana here, and you're watching the Clean and Simple Die Cutting video series. So for my today's video, I decided to use a rather unusual die. This is a modern stationary die from Spellbinders, and they have these dies in two sizes. So they have these for the A2 cards and for the 5x7 cards. The one that I have and the one that I will be using today is for the for the A2 cards. Now, if you don't have a die like that, if you have a similar die, or maybe if you don't have a die cutting machine, you can also create this card with the help of scissors or a paper trimmer and some corner rounder. But I, however, just simply like the look of a die cut piece with the rounded corner all together, But, that's just my personal preference. If you have other supplies, feel free to experiment and use those that you already have. Now, to create my card today, I'll be also using several colors of cardstock. And the ones that I have are mostly from Simon Says Stamp, except for that yellow one. The yellow comes from a paper pad from Echo Park, from the 6x6 paper pad. It's one of their older collections. I simply didn't have a yellow like that, so I looked through the papers that I had on hand. And the reason I chose these particular colors was like a color palette thing. I have a bunch of those printed onto some 6x6 papers, and I use them as inspirations for my cards. I find these to be very helpful, and I find myself looking them all the time. Now, if you don't have any colored cardstock at all, you can also try to use markers or ink pads. And I've shown this trick in my previous videos, where I used, in my previous video, I'll have a link to that video here as well, where I used some Copic markers to create different colors of cardstock for another clean and simple card. Now I'm going to start die cutting, and I've arranged or I've picked the colors of cardstock that I wanted to use according to that palette inspiration image that I showed you previously. I really like it, and if you're like me and if you struggle with colors for your projects, maybe you can try printing those as well and using them as a starting point, or as an additional help while creating cards. Now, I also wanted to talk a bit about labeling your dies. What I find helpful is to use a marker, and I've learned this trick from Kim Hopke from Spellbinders. You can use a permanent marker. The one that I have here is a photo marker from American Crafts, so you can use the marker and label your dies. I use these markers to label the small and the large dies. Spellbinders has like these smaller labels and larger labels. So I use the marker to label smaller and larger dies, but I'm thinking I will also be using it soon to label all the other dies that I have. Maybe put a name of a die, or I forgot the name, what it's called, like a number of a die. I hope you understand what I mean. Anyhow, I find it to be very helpful, and it's just a nice trick, a nice thing to do. So here I have all of these rounded pieces, rounded stripes already pre-cut, and I'm going to arrange them on a piece of cardstock that I have here. Now, I used a pencil, and I created or I made like little indications, or like I placed little marks there as to where I want my stripes to be, simply so that it would be a little bit easier for me to place them. Now, to make my card a little bit more interesting, and maybe a little bit more fun and colorful, I decided I wanted to add some texture, or some stamping to my die cut stripes. And I'm going to use this pattern stripes stamp from Hero Arts. It's a really fun stamp. When I first got it, I wasn't sure that I was going to use it often, but then I don't know, inspiration hit me, and I decided that it's really a very fun and unique stamp. You have a bunch of different designs there, and you can easily combine them, and you can create, one of the things that you can do is you can create these like fun stripes that are going to look like you've spent hours and hours on that pattern, stamping it, but basically it's you simply use just one stamp, and it took you less than a minute to stamp these. Now, because my stripes are so small, I'm using clear block to press on top of these, to press exactly where I need the ink. You can also use like this roller tool from Clear Snap, but if you do use that, you're going to end up spending or using a lot more ink. So I basically just used a clear block and I pressed with a clear block where I needed the ink to be, and that way I also protected my fingers from getting dirty. Although I did get them dirty, I know I'm just really messy that way. Whenever I do some stamping, my fingers and my hands end up looking really, really dirty. So anyhow, I added that texture, that white stamping, onto the darker pieces of cardstock. I added it to the dark brown, into the light brown, as well as to the green, and I also added it to the pink. You can't really see it there, especially on the photo. It's visible a little bit better in real life, but on the photo you can really see it. As for the yellow, however, I knew that white won't really show. So I knew I had to do something different. So I reserved that yellow stripe for my sentiment, and I simply heat embossed a birthday sentiment, using another stamp from Hero Arts and some white embossing powder. Now, the ink that I used to do my white stamping was a frost white ink from Color Box from Clear Snap. You can also use Hero Arts Unicorn white ink. It's also a very good white, and is going to stand out nicely, and it's going to show nicely on dark surfaces. Finally, to embellish my card even further, I decided I wanted to add some stars. I thought that I'd make this card sort of like a masculine birthday card. Although I do have a little bit of pink there. I have that pink stripe, and I have a pink enamel dot. But I think, I don't think it's going to matter a lot, since the colors are mostly masculine, and I really like the modern look that I was able to achieve with these diagonal stripes. What I also forgot to mention is that I used dimensional adhesive to adhere these stripes to my paper. And the one that I used was brown brown foam tape from Imagine-S. I like using that colored adhesive, and the reason for that is because I lately ran out of my white foam adhesive, but you can use any kind of dimensional adhesive that you like. Anyhow, this finishes up the project for today. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial, and I hope that you will give this idea a try. It doesn't matter whether you have that modern stationery die, or whether you're going to use a paper trimmer and a corner rounder. So if you like this video, please click that like button, maybe share it with your friends, and drop me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.